Hello everyone, welcome to Ranger 4's webcast on experiential learning. My name is Steve Green and I work for Ranger 4. Before we begin, I thought it might be useful to share some of our observations from 2016 and put today's webcast into some kind of context. Because over the last 12 months we've actually seen a huge increase in DevOps projects and initiatives with our customers and prospects. And it's clear that serious business advantages are being identified across nearly every market that we operate in. What's also clear is the need to build a solid value-based business case. And so increasingly now we're talking to the business to help justify the expense on DevOps. But increasingly you yourself are going to need to garner support with your own organizations and to help everyone talk the same language and to understand the benefits of DevOps. And that's why really we've developed our training business, and it's why we launched the Phoenix Project game last year. In partnership with organizations just like yours, we can help build a business case, garner support, provoke a debate, get C-level suite engaged in a conversation early. So today Ryan's going to take us through a slightly deeper dive into experiential training with specific regard to our DevOps Foundation course and our Phoenix Project game. So please feel free to write your feedback in the chat box and to direct any questions that you have in the chat box. And I'll be back at the end to wrap things up. So I'll hand over to Ryan now and mute myself.
Thank you, Steve. Welcome, everyone. My name's Ryan. I obviously work for Ranger 4 as well. So let's get things underway. So, wanted to start today with a little celebration. We do love a celebration in DevOps. So last week, Ranger 4 were announced the winner of the DevOps.com DevOps Dozen Award for the most innovative DevOps solution provider. So we're really proud of this recognition from the people, especially the ones that voted for us. So thank you to you all. It's worth pointing out as well, we were up against and among some global worldwide companies in there as well. So yeah, really proud of that. Thank you again to Alan Schimmel and the team for putting together the awards. We work really hard to understand what helps customers really move the needle when it comes to delivering IT innovation and deliver solutions, and obviously the tools to support their ambitions. So yes, for Ranger 4, and today I'm going to be walking you through one of these tools, so let's get on and have a look. So today there's three parts to the session. First, we're going to take a look and review the DevOps Foundation course and what you can expect in terms of outcomes from the course, and then we'll review what the Phoenix Project game is all about, and then finally we'll review what it means to you and how you can look at using these two learning tools in tandem and what outcomes you can expect from investing your time in this way. So before we dive into the DevOps Foundation course, let's just spend a couple of minutes talking about the provenance of the tools. The DevOps Foundation course was the first course launched by the DevOps Institute in 2015. There are now thousands of graduates from the course worldwide, and we believe it's becoming the de facto standard amongst sort of DevOps practitioners. One of our colleagues sits on the Board of Regents, Helen Bill, at the DevOps Institute. So the Board of Regents basically have the responsibility, along with the ever-enlarging base of trainers, to contribute and optimise course material. The DevOps Institute was founded by Alan Schimmel, who runs the go-to resource for DevOps, DevOps.com, and Jane Grohl, who has run the ITSM Academy for many years now. The connection with ITSM and the ops side of the business is really important to us, because obviously we've seen sometimes the ops guys get a poor deal in DevOps initiatives. I take it some of you might have heard the phrase no ops. And when we talk about DevOps, we often describe the goal as making better software faster and more safely. The more safely bit being absolute key here. Early in 2016, we started co-designing the Phoenix Project game with GamingWorks. The game is licensed by IT Revolution Press, who are the publishers behind the seminal novel about DevOps of the same title, the guys with Gene Kim. And GamingWorks have decades of experience designing serious play for businesses. Many of you are probably aware of some of their other games like Apollo and Grab a Pizza. As you can see, the DevOps Foundation course is a 2-day course, and the Phoenix Project game is a day-long experience. So together, it'll take 3 days out of your time. But during this webcast, we'll explore the advantages of using these together and to enhance your experiential learning. So let's just start by taking a look closer at the DevOps Foundation course. So many of you might be familiar with the Bloom's taxonomy. It's the way we describe the depth of the learning experience. So the DevOps Foundation course is actually, it sits at levels 1 and 2, so knowledge and comprehension. As we said earlier, it's a 2-day course, or if you're doing it online, it takes 16 hours. We'll take a look at the course outline at a high level in a moment, which you can actually download from our website. So we will be sending a few links to follow up this via email, which you can check on and check us out. It's not a technical class or hands-on, so you don't need to. There's no need to turn up with your laptop and install Jenkins and Chef and start building CD pipelines at all. It's a highly interactive course, so a lot of chit chat with the people that come in, and we sort of learn which drives some of the technical conversations around automation and architecting for change. But its main purpose, is to lay the foundations, hence the name, for DevOps thinking. So we'll look at the course together in just a moment. So just before we dive in a little bit deeper to what's in the DevOps Foundation course, we wanted to show you how this course fits into the overall certification gameplay. So as you can see here, the DevOps Foundation course is a starting point for the other DevOps Institute courses. So it's always good to obviously come on there and learn the foundations or the basics. We've been delivering the Certified Agile Service Manager. This is like the IT operational equivalent of Scrum Master. So we're delivering that course together with the Agile Process Owner, the IT operational equivalent of the Scrum Product Owner, since around 2016, so early last year. These courses don't have the DevOps Foundation course, so you don't have to go on the DevOps Foundation course prior to those, but we always do recommend it as a prerequisite. But the new courses coming through from these months onwards and throughout 2017 are the DevOps Test Engineer, Continuous Delivery Architect, the DevOps Leader, and DevSecOps Engineer. Later on in the year, we'll also be announcing the DevOps Professional course. The DOI, the DevOps Institute, courses have always offered certifications via one of two of the Global Certification Administrators People Cert. Exams are typically an hour long, 40 multiple choice questions, and have a 65% pass mark. They can either be taken at the end of the 2-day course, or we can issue a voucher that you can actually complete the test online at home. You just log on and it's in a proctored environment using an electronic voucher, and you can just do that in your spare time. When I say proctored, it basically means that you have your webcam on and somebody's actually watching you do the exam, so no cheating. It's like virtual invigilation, basically. Anyway, so with the new courses, the DOI are offering electronic badges that you can collect. I think it's worth a little side note at this stage, actually. There was a mixed reception in the DevOps community to the availability of certifications, and this is primarily due to DevOps purely resisting sort of a hard definition, really. And its depth and breadth of coverage seems to mutate and expand on a daily basis. So more and more books are published all the time, and the body of knowledge grows all the time. So the DevOps Foundation course V2 was released in the summer of 2016, and this is just to ensure that the course keeps up to pace with the pace of change, all the new learnings and processes that are coming out on a daily basis. And some people are less welcoming to the idea of certification. So we do work hard with the DIY and our customers just to make sure that the exam test skills and knowledge correctly, and that they are meaningful and useful. So broadly speaking, the people that attend the course are one of two types. So typically we'll actually see a lot of self-called sort of change agents who want to come on the course and pick up the skills and knowledge and have that recognised by the industry. Or should I say, we typically get quite a lot of sort of small teams of people who want to come on and share their understanding as DevOps and how it proliferates into their organisation. So they come on the course, learn the basic processes, methodologies to take that back and develop it within their own companies. So let's take a look at the higher level course outline. So as you can see, I mentioned it a couple of times now, it is a 2-day course. If you do have any questions, by the way, do, as Steve said, do leave a comment in the chat box and we'll answer those at the end of the webcast. So you can see here that we've been looking at what's driving DevOps and, more importantly, the business inputs. We'll also review in detail the 3 ways from the Phoenix project. You can actually imagine that these figure strongly in the game too, and we'll cover that later on. It won't be a surprise that we actually look at CI, continuous integration, continuous delivery, and also continuous deployment. We'll define the differences through basically what they mean. I know there's been a lot of confusion, a lot of continuousness. Last year we actually ran a survey called How Continuous Are You? Basically over the past few years we've actually observed the proliferation of continuous plus verbs. So I am digressing a little bit, but I will add the link to the email in the follow-up so that you can check that survey out. Also, there's a link to a talk that my colleague Helen did at All Day DevOps last year, and yeah, make sure you do check that out. So you will see here that we also look at the relationship between DevOps and Agile, ITSM and Lean. What Jane Grohl actually calls sometimes the harmonious polygamous marriage. The eagle-eyed among you will already seen the reference to Kanban as well, so we do cover that. Many of you will be familiar with the CAMS elevator acronym, or more commonly actually now CARMS, which explains succinctly what we're talking about when we're talking about DevOps. There's also an L in there, so the Lean, added by Jez Humble a couple of years back. And as we said earlier, we'll put all the links in the email so you can check all of these out. So you might have covered already that the DevOps Foundation course can be delivered in a number of ways. So we do hold it as a public scheduled course on site or online. Later on in the webcast we'll show you some dates actually of the upcoming ones. And this is actually an example of one of our customers that we delivered on site way back in December 2015. And this was actually to a DevOps team in Switzerland. So Argon was keen to ensure his team of 12 all shared the same level of understanding of DevOps principles. And this was basically the best way to do it. So our facilitators went in and held and facilitated the course on site there. There was an actual element of experiential learning, gets my words out. As you see, partway through the training, there was actually an outage. So we used some of the learning in the war room, although we do hate that term now, war rooms. So we mentioned that we offer the course as public scheduled. So these are actually the next dates. So the next one is just a couple of weeks time away now in London. So we do hold all the courses in central London as public scheduled. So they do get filled up quite quick. We've got a couple of spots left, so do check that out. As I've mentioned before, we'll send out links to register yourself. So yeah, if you are interested, do log on there straight away and get your name down. Again, as I'm running through this, if any of you do have any questions, do just put down in the chat box. Happy to answer every question that we have after the webcast. So let's take a look at the Phoenix project game in a little bit more detail. So if I can move the page. So just before this starts, actually, I'd like to thank our smarketer, Geddy, who put together this little video. So it's only a couple of minutes long, but I'll sit and let it play for a bit. Just check it out. So it covers what the Phoenix project game is in a little bit more detail. hope you all enjoyed that. So let's just cover that off in a little bit more detail. So as we said earlier, the game's actually based on the novel. Obviously, if you're into DevOps or learning about it, I'm sure most of you have probably read the book. So the book's obviously about DevOps. It's a fictional book. But we do recommend probably at least once a day that people that are embarking on their DevOps journey do read it. We do regularly give it away during competitions, and we run events like Lunch and Learn. So yeah, definitely if you haven't read it, get out there and check that out. We love it because it's really just engaging to read. As I said, it is a sort of semi-fictional novel. But it does tell the story of where we are and also where we can be. Actually follows some interesting characters. So in the last year, actually, I've heard 3 separate customers say that they feel like they're actually living in the book. More unfortunately, though, probably more in the early chapters with all the chaos, fragility that many organisations experience on a daily basis. Much of the strength of this book, so over lots of sort of IT non-fiction text, is that the story embeds us in the actual organisation, so a company called Parts Unlimited, and it introduces us to characters that we all recognise. So you've got Bill, who basically just learns that his boss has got the sack one morning when he turns into work, and is reluctantly made interim CIO. You have Brent, who's the hero bottleneck in the novel, and you've got John, who's the outsider security guy, and Sarah, the demanding HR business person. The list does go on, and I'm sure you can all associate with certain characters of the book. So the purpose of the game is to bring these characters and roles to life. So during the workshop, so it's a day long. So we actually set out the different roles in the workshop when people turn up. So it's there to teach the principles we learn from the book. So it is a day long. Importantly, you're in there with your team members, some that you work with on a daily basis, and others that you probably don't see as much. A little aside here, sometimes it's actually difficult to know when the best time to play the game is. We have seen some organisations run it as part of a continuous improvement. Others do tie it into new initiatives. So, for example, if you're putting together a new team for a new compliance requirement or a new project, it's always good to kick off with a Phoenix project game to learn the processes and methodologies involved. Others use it to drive DevOps thinking and just through a DevOps evolution initiatives as a whole. So how does the game start? The game actually starts exactly the same way as the book does. So if you have read it, it starts with a press release. By this point, your team have come in, you've entered the room, sat down, assumes the different roles. So as I said, you do have a CIO, a HR, applications team, infrastructure team, very much obviously mirroring a typical organisation. There are some cards on the desk, so it is a card-based game. So when you sit down, review what's on the desk, maybe a little bit of shuffling, moving around, and always good to ask the questions of the game master. The press release talks about share prices and revenues. So as you can actually see here, stock price tumbles, profit going down, and being overtaken by the closest competition. So during the course of the day, there's long exercises. There's 4 different rounds, and there's actually 4 points of review. So the game master will take a break during each round, take a look at all the cards moved around by the team in the round, and scores a progress against the parameters. So as you can see here, this hasn't been a great game for the guys. As you can see, their share price drops actually over the course of the day, and revenue taking a similar move. But this is an important aspect of the game because it allows us and uses makes us use metrics that actually matter. So you probably hear us talking a lot of metrics that matter. So actual metrics that bring business value. So we use those to score the progress through the day, and it actually adds an element of peril to the game as well. So you can fail. Not everyone leaves the day actually improving the business. So you can see a lot of failures, but it's important to learn from that. You'll also see that we're actually all got a little, if not a lot, of a competitive side. So we don't want that to happen. So we're always obviously looking to improve the overall business. For those who have read the book, you'll remember some pivotal moments. For example, like Bill's room, what happens when John comes back from his break, how they tackle Brent. I'm not going to give too much away, but that will most likely figure in the game, and you'll experience that as well. You don't need to have read the book though. It's always wise to have a read, and if you are just looking into DevOps as a whole, it's definitely recommended, but you don't have to have read the book to play the game. Mostly the room will have a mixture of people in it, some that have read the book, some who haven't. Doesn't matter. The Games Master explains the full course of the game, how it works, how it's run, and you learn on the spot and as you go. So the Game Master plays the role of the CEO, and you'll be coached through a retrospective after each round. So you'll get some clues to what's sort of needed and what needs to happen to make the change. So that's where the learning comes in. We sort of let everyone get off with it and assume their typical roles, and then throughout the day we had small improvements that hopefully will mirror in the share price and revenue. So as described, it is a card-based simulation. So cards are color-coded according to the role. So as you can see here, system requirements, work in progress, project scorecards. So there are different types: actions, projects, change, applications, etc. That drive the work, and they'll be put onto the board for each round. There will also be outages too, so it's definitely like real life. So there'll be outages too, just to keep you on your toes. The cards will be explained, and there will be plenty of time at the start of the game to learn how to play the game. It is important that not too much time is spent around it, as it is important to spend the time sort of assuming and learning why we're playing the game, not necessarily how. So I didn't realise these popped up. So these are the different cards that you'll get given. So as you can see, application teams, change teams, actions, and so on and so forth. So as you can see here, you put the different actions onto the related areas of the business. And what we do at the end of the rounds, we come around and review if everyone's got it in the right place and no one's taken over their work in progress limits. So here's a case study from one of the games that we facilitated. So this is actually Jonathan Leckie, who is the head of operations at Auto Trader. Again, I've mentioned before, we'll send out an email to follow this up, and we'll show the full case study there. But as you can see from Jonathan's quote, in just one day, he saw 7 years of learning. So that's what's great about sort of these business simulations. You're learning on the spot, you're getting involved, and you're all interacting. You know, you can see it visually. So there's some key dates coming up. So what's actually important is a lot of the companies that we've actually worked with in the past have mentioned that it's sometimes a bit difficult to get sort of a full 12 to 14 people, sorry, in parts in a full day. As you probably understand, obviously IT businesses struggle to get that many people out. So what we've actually put together is a public game. So we've got 2 coming up in March. These are slowly filling up, so I do recommend to check these out. So March 18th and March 30th. And what it is, it's a full day. So we run in public days. What we typically see is 2 to 4 people from 3 to 4 different organisations can come along, share the experience, and take it back to their own sites. And then what we'll do is follow up from there with some more on-site games and training to follow that up. So next one, as I mentioned, we've got 2 coming up in March, and as I said, they have started to fill, so definitely check those out and get your name booked down. So Aristotle once said, "For the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them. So in the DevOps Foundation course, we learn the principles of DevOps, the 3 ways: flow, feedback, and experimentation and learning. And in the Phoenix Project game, we apply those principles. So we're actually doing those processes. We put them into practice. So we perform the retrospectives after each round. We reflect on what we've done, what we needed to do, what went well, what didn't, and aim to put that into the day. But overall, this is why it's becoming increasingly popular. To especially run these together as 2 different tools. So the DevOps Foundation course will give you the education, and the Phoenix Project Games allows you to put that into practice. So David Kolb, he's one of the leading thinkers on experiential learning. So these are his 4 requirements for people who want to practice in an experiential learning experience. So when you're pulling together a team to do the game, it's probably worth thinking about each individual participant in the frame of these questions. So willing to be actively involved. Obviously, it's important that those guys that do come along do take part. Able to reflect. So as I said, it's all about learning. DevOps is all about feedback, the 3 ways. So you've got to take what you learn back to the teams. Possess and uses analytical skills to conceptualize. So what we actually see when we do run the games, we'll actually see different personality types coming out. Those that like to take a sort of a sit back and let other people get on with it. We'll also see the leaders coming out to try and sort of drive things forward. So it's important that people come along, they're ready to use their analytical skills, ready to get involved, and also to possess decision making. So obviously, as I keep saying, there's going to be a lot of learning, a lot of decision making coming into the day, when to use the best ideas and when not to. So, in conclusion, takeaway from today's webcast. So the DevOps Foundation course, as I said, it lays the groundwork, it lays the foundation for the systems of thinking of DevOps. The Phoenix Project game takes the principles and exercises and puts them into a simulated environment so that you can learn as you go. So together this provides an experiential learning platform where 2 + 2 = 10. So the sum is basically much greater than the parts that go into it. This learning does tackle real life business problems. This is why it's getting so popular. This is why especially the Phoenix Project game and the training, you know, it is helping to drive businesses forward and is making a real difference to organisations out there. So thanks for listening to me. I'm going to hand back over to Steve just to cover some closing points and also to answer any questions you do have. So thanks for listening, and over to Steve.
Thanks, Ryan. Just in the couple of minutes we've got left, and I appreciate your time, and thanks to all for joining. We've had some questions which I've tried to deal with whilst Ryan was talking, but if anybody's got anything burning, then if you could type it out now, we can deal with it. But and in the meantime, I just want to spend a minute, really, 60 seconds on how people are using the Phoenix Project game and the DevOps Foundation course, because what we've found over the last 18 months is that you guys, and certainly the people that sort of regularly visit us at webcasts and events and hear us speak and download our slides and interact with us regularly, you guys are the flag wavers, and right now you probably are, you know, you were the early adopters, and you are people that we want to work with, but you have pretty much been convinced. And so what we're seeing now, going back to the points around observations from 2016 to 2017, is that people are using the foundation course because they need everyone to be speaking the same language. And DevOps has some currency now in most organizations. In a very few organizations, we need to be careful of transformation programs and change fatigue. But DevOps has still got a pretty good currency, and people are using that to get people on DevOps, the foundation course, so that they can be sure that everyone's using the same language and understands the principles and methodologies that DevOps is all about. And they're using the game more increasingly to bring into that debate people who otherwise would not necessarily get so involved, because our view of DevOps involves the whole business. So IT, clearly a key mover, but for a long time now IT have been innovators, whether it's been on the ops side or the development side. And our view is that DevOps is all about how you get an idea to business value as fast as you can, in the best way that you can, and as safely as you can. And people are using the Phoenix Project game to get support from their C-suite or their middle management, and that includes non-IT functions. So that's what we want to engage with you on. Clearly, if you have other uses for it, that's great. But that's what we're experiencing. We're experiencing a huge amount of growth in terms of inquiries because everyone understands that DevOps is something they want to look at, but there are still some people that really need to understand a bit more about it. Non-technical people, and the DevOps training and the Phoenix Project game are two great ways of doing that. So I haven't noticed any more questions, so I'll just crack on with just closing off really with the February challenge. So if you can get, if you've bought into anything we've said today, and we'll obviously share the slides with you when we follow up individually after the webcast, but if you order the game by the 23rd of February and quote on your PO Experiential, we'll include 5 DevOps Foundation courses and certifications on site for free. So that's a really good offer. You're effectively getting £6,000 worth of training for a £5,000 Phoenix Project game. Clearly, there's a quota, and we won't be offering that forever. But I just thought for you on the call, that's an offer, and we'd love you to take it up. We'd love to engage with you on your journey throughout the rest of 2017. So on the basis that I don't see any more questions, I'll probably call it a day there. And just to reiterate, thank you for your time. We appreciate, 1, you've got a choice, and 2, you've got other things to do. So we hope you found that really useful, and we look forward to speaking to you again in the future. Thanks a lot.